A few hours, the province's Progressive Conservative Party will have a new leader. Frontrunner Jason Kenney is expected to win. Kenney campaigning on a unite the right and merge the party with the more right-wing Wildrose. So how will progressive conservatives in the province respond if he wins? And does Kenney have what it takes to actually defeat Rachel Notley? Well, Zain is a campaign strategist who's been following this race. He joins us now from Calgary. Zain, thanks for joining us today. So let's begin with the race itself, because based on the analysis that seems to be out there, the results of today's vote is almost this foregone conclusion that Jason Kenney's going to win. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out in about 2.5 hours, Michael, but it is pretty fair to say that Jason Kenney has outworked, outflanked, and frankly outstripped the opposition here that have ran against him. And what's really interesting here to see is that when Jason Kenney announced his intentions to become leader of the PC party this past summer, many thought it would be an immovable hurdle for him to become a leader of a party that so prides itself in being a big tent party and have someone like Jason Kenney who probably doesn't fit that traditional mold. But here we stand today in the middle of March, and it's all but a foregone conclusion to be proven out in the next 2.5 hours.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, as we've been saying all today, Kenney has been campaigning on this Unite the Right proposal, selling a merger between the Alberta PCs with the more right-wing Wildrose Party. How popular is that idea among members of the two prospective parties here?
Well, we're seeing by the energy that Kennedy has brought to the table in this PC leadership race that there certainly is an appetite for it. What I think is interesting going forward is I've said all along, and on this program and others, that this is just stage one for Jason Kenney. He's got many more dominoes to fall, so to speak, in order to make this a go. So while there does seem to be an appetite to unite the right, and Jason Kenney, to your point, has run on this ballot box question that I will rebuild the PC party by effectively shutting it down and creating a conservative movement, he still has many more steps to go, including negotiating with Brian Jean, the leader of the Wildrose, winning the leadership, getting his own seat as MLA, and that's all before he gets to challenge Rachel Notley in 2019. So many more steps to go, but the appetite amongst the grassroots or activist class within these two parties or the broader conservative movement seems to be there for this movement.
Well, if the Alberta PCs do merge with the Wildrose, where does that leave the progressive side of the Progressive Conservative Party in Alberta then? Because many of them have expressed concerns about not being a Big Ten party, expressing concerns about Jason Kenney himself.
The million-dollar question there, Michael, right? So as much as this convention this weekend is about giving the X to Jason Kenney and giving the car keys proverbially going forward, the conversations that are happening in the back rooms and the hallways are about the middle, about the centrist voters of the PC party. And frankly, not just the centrists of the PC party, but the centrists in Alberta at large who arguably have not had a home, so to speak, since 2014, 2015. And I think that's going to be the million-dollar question. Do the PCs work with the Alberta Party, which seems to be an attractive vessel to many, to create an infrastructure? Does the NDP, which now governs from the left, effectively become the incumbent for the middle and attracts these voters? There's going to be a real fight for the middle. So simultaneously, as we're going to see Jason Kenney try to make the operative moves that I mentioned earlier to unite the right, there's going to be a lot of movement from PC party members and others in the centrist sort of political spectrum of Alberta to figure out what happens in the middle.
Well, as you say that, I'm thinking about Sandra Jansen, who, of course, was running to be the leader of the Alberta PCs. She dropped out, saying that the process had become very toxic. In fact, she joined the Notley New Democrats, saying here is a centrist, pragmatic government. How important are conservatives or former conservatives like her going to be in terms of shoring up Rachel Notley against a united right under Jason Kenney?
It's going to be a big deal because the NDP have had what many would call a tough 1.5 to 2 years where they've had to effectively put in place their large policy planks, their left-wing policy planks that they campaigned on. And arguably, regardless of where you sit on the political spectrum, they've done a pretty successful job getting those pieces in place. This last budget on Thursday arguably was the last big policy plank from their platform. Now they've got the next 2 years to move to the middle. So someone like Sandra Jansen or a budget going forward that offers more tax relief or more fiscal sort of bona fides in this area are part of a larger play that the NDP also want to make in courting those centrist middle Alberta voters.
Zain, appreciate the time and the insight. Always great to speak with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Thank you.
And that is Zain a campaign strategist who spoke to us from Calgary. Well, let's turn our attentions now